Today, we are diving deep into one of the most controversial, most influential, and, let's be honest, most fascinating books ever written on power, Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. This thing is a ruthless, no-holds-barred guide to grabbing power and, maybe more importantly, holding on to it. So let's open up the playbook.
And right out of the gate, Machiavelli hits us with this stunner of a quote. This one line has been freaking people out for 500 years. It's not about being a good person, you see. It's about being an effective ruler. This single idea really sets the stage for a playbook that basically throws conventional morality right out the window, all in the name of stability and control.
So, who was this guy anyway? Well, Niccolo Machiavelli was a seasoned diplomat in Florence. He'd seen it all. Empires rising, empires crumbling. After he got exiled, he wrote The Prince. And this wasn't some academic exercise. It was basically a job application and a real-world instruction manual for the new guy in charge, Lorenzo de' Medici. He was pretty much saying, look, you want to keep your job and your head? Here's how you do it. To really get inside his head, we're going to break down his playbook into 5 key parts. We'll start with the huge problem every new ruler has to deal with. Look at the 2 ways to get power, dig into his most infamous advice, learn about the 2 animals a prince has to be, and finally figure out how to lock down your state for the long haul. All right, first up, the big problem. Machiavelli is convinced that not all rulers are in the same boat. And if you're the new leader on the scene, well, you're in a uniquely dangerous spot.
So here's where he makes a really key distinction. If you inherit your kingdom, you're kind of set. Life is easier, people are used to your family, and you can just coast on tradition. But if you've just taken power, whoa, now you're walking a tightrope. The old guard hates you, and the friends who helped you get there, they're never going to be happy with what you give them. It's a total minefield.
Okay, so if you're going to go for it and seize power, how do you pull it off? Machiavelli says there are basically 2 different roads you can take to become a prince. You can claw your way to the top through your own skill, what he calls virtue, or you can get there through pure luck and having powerful friends, which he calls fortune. Now, the path of merit, that's the hard road. It's an uphill battle all the way. But if you make it, your power is built on solid rock. The path of fortune, that's the easy way in. Someone just hands you the keys. The problem is, your entire rule is built on their foundation, which means it can be taken away just as easily as it was given.
And we have to be crystal clear about this word virtu. When Machiavelli talks about virtu, he is not talking about being a nice, kind, or moral person. Nope. To him, it means having the skill, the guts, the sheer prowess to see an opportunity and grab it with both hands. It's all about being effective, not about being good.
So the bottom line is this: rely on yourself. As Machiavelli puts it right here, your own skill, your own virtu, is the only thing you can really count on for lasting success. Fortune? She's a fickle friend. But your own ability? That's a weapon you can always trust.
All right, so you've clawed your way to power through merit. Awesome. Now, how do you keep it? This leads us to Machiavelli's most infamous advice, the practical and, deeply controversial tools every prince needs in their toolkit.
Okay, let's play a little game. Put yourself in the prince's shoes. You just took over a new territory, and it is a complete mess. It's totally lawless. Criminals are running wild. What do you do? Well, Machiavelli gives us a masterclass in what he calls well-employed cruelty.
And his poster boy for this is the ruthless Caesar Borgia. Borgia conquered this place called Romagna, and it was an absolute basket case, run by corrupt, weak leaders and totally overrun with crime. He needed to get it under control, and he needed to do it fast. And his method is, well, it's brilliant and terrifying. Step 1. Borgia brings in this notoriously cruel enforcer, a guy named Ramiro d'Orco, and gives him total power to crush everyone. D'Orco does the dirty work, all right? He uses brutal force, but he gets the job done. In the process, though, everyone hates his guts. Step 2. Once order is restored, Borgia acts like he had nothing to do with the harsh methods, and then, for the grand finale, he has d'Orco publicly and brutally executed, displaying his body for everyone to see. A perfect piece of political theater. The result? In Machiavelli's eyes, it was pure genius. Borgia got his peace and quiet, but all the hatred for how he got it was dumped squarely on his dead minister. The people were satisfied that justice was done, but they were also completely terrified of the prince's power. He got exactly what he wanted and came out smelling like a rose. And this whole crazy story leads us right to his most famous conclusion. Why is it better to be feared than loved? Simple. Love is unreliable. It depends on other people, and as Machiavelli says, people are fickle. They'll drop you the second it's convenient for them. Fear, on the other hand, fear is something you control. The threat of punishment is always there, and it's a hell of a motivator.
But it's not just about cruelty. A prince has to have a dual nature to make it in the political jungle. And this brings us to another one of Machiavelli's brilliant metaphors. A prince must be both a lion and a fox.
Machiavelli says there are two ways to get what you want: with laws, which is the way of men, and with force, which is the way of beasts. And a lot of the time, he says, the law just isn't enough. A truly great ruler has to know when to step outside the law and act like a beast.
But which beast should you be? Well, that's the wrong question. Think about it. The lion has all the power. He can scare off the wolves, no problem. But he's clumsy and he'll walk right into a trap. The fox, on the other hand, is smart. He can spot every trap from a mile away. But he's too weak to fight off those wolves. If you're only one of them, you're doomed. So the answer is you have to be both. You need the raw strength of the lion to scare your enemies, but you also need the cunning of the fox to avoid all the political traps and schemes. You see, for Machiavelli, strength without brains is reckless, and brains without strength is just useless. And all of this brings us to the final chapter of Machiavelli's survival guide. Being feared is one thing, but there are two emotions you can never, ever inspire because they will lead to your ruin: hatred and contempt. First, how do you avoid contempt and look strong? You need a good army. But Machiavelli is very specific here. There's only one kind of army that's worth anything: your own. Look at this chart. Mercenaries, they're just in it for the money. They'll ditch you in a heartbeat. Auxiliaries, that's troops you borrow from an ally, they're even more dangerous because their loyalty is to someone else. The only reliable choice is a national army, made up of your own citizens.
And how do you avoid being hated? Machiavelli's rules are surprisingly simple. He says there are two things that will get you hated faster than anything: taking people's stuff and taking their women. Just don't do it. Leave their property and their families alone, and for the most part, you'll be fine. On top of that, don't look weak or indecisive. Project strength, be smart, and keep the people generally happy. That's the secret sauce for a stable rule.
And if you need one quote to hammer this point home, he gives us this absolute killer. This is the core of his advice on avoiding hatred. People have a really, really long memory when it comes to their money. You can get away with a lot, but do not mess with their property.
So there you have it. Machiavelli's playbook is a cold, hard look at power as it is, not how we wish it were. He argues that to achieve a greater good, like a stable and secure country, a leader has to be willing to do things that we wouldn't call good. And that leaves us with a really timeless and, frankly, uncomfortable question. Has anything really changed? In the 500 years since he wrote this, does effective leadership still require our leaders to take a walk on the dark side? That's something to think about.